course, we are unpacking the president's recent address when it comes to the reconstruction and economic recovery plan for South Africa. Before the president spoke, I got to speak to Yamkela Makupula, the Africa CEO at Diaz Reis International Law Firm, about her thoughts on what to expect and what could come out of it. Let's chat to her now and get a sense of whether it was everything she had expected. Yamkela, your thoughts, all of that having come out now?
Well, firstly, thank you so much. So we love the president's energy. You know, when someone is speaking about a recovery plan and he's got this glowing energy, that means he believes in this plan. But there's just a couple of things. Number one, do we have the skills to implement this plan? You know, do we have the resources, especially in government, in order for us to say, here is a plan, it's a good plan. We've seen plans in South Africa. How implementable is it? There's a lot of thought that has gone into it. I enjoyed how he spoke about the issue of illicit flow of funds because, you know, a couple of years ago, you know, I think it was 2008 when we went through an economic meltdown. If you go back and read, actually Europe, that's what they used in order for them to recover. Because a lot of those funds, I mean, countries, they lose billions and billions out of these big corporates that are actually not investing in the countries where they are just taking and taking. So I liked that part. I also enjoyed how he spoke on the issue of corruption and the fact that we've got to cut down on it. And he didn't just talk about it, he also spoke energetically with regards to the energy that's going to be put in it, the resources that will be put in it. And hopefully the minister in 2 weeks' time will tell us how much money will go into it, because it takes money to do these investigations. It takes money for government to go to court. It takes money for all these things to be done. So that's the positive side for me when it comes to this plan, because Arabile, if we can cut down on illicit flow of funds, if we can cut down on corruption, we would save a lot of money on that alone.
One of the other things then is that, you know, there's a continued ask for the private sector to get a whole lot more involved with regards to the recovery plan and just the general sense of South Africa's pathway to economic, perhaps, let's call it greatness for lack of a better term. Do you think that there is an ability for the private sector to get involved? Is there sufficient room? Do you feel like government has provided them the right space?
Well, it's a tough one because the environment is still very volatile and there's still a lot of you and us, you know, because even this conversation that I'm saying we excited to hear about, you know, with regards to illicit flow of funds and a couple of other things, the predicament that is going to bring, it's also on the other side that, you know, you're going to see a pull and push between government and private sector. But unfortunately, there is no state that has ever been built only by government. So regulation, though, needs to speak to the way of doing business in South Africa. Regulation needs to make things easy. And we can sit on the table with government and have all these nice conversations. But as long as there's still regulation that is holding things back, as long as it's still just for one invoice, I'm talking now for an SMME, it takes 3 months for it to be approved. How are you expecting, you know, business to be able to sufficiently participate in that economy? There's just a lot of things that need to be done. That's why I started by saying that, is government able to implement this plan? Is government, do they have the capacity? You know, the supply chain model, the procurement model, at this point in time, as we know it, it's flawed. And we need people that are competent, that are going to make sure that it's easy for business to do business with government so that business then will have the appetite to invest more and do more in partnership with government in South Africa.
Yeah, so much of that public-private partnership certainly needs to come to the fore. Yamkela, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for it. Yamkela Makupula there joining us. She's the Africa CEO then of Diaz Reyes as well, international law firm. Giving us a sense then, as she says, that indeed a lot needs to be done when it comes to the public-private partnerships then that come through as well, and what exactly those partnerships can actually do for South Africa and how they can actually build South Africa and push them a little bit more forward. As she says, it's all great to have all this talk, but it's going to come up to that implementation. Let's chat now to Duma Qubule.